The hour of convening having arrived, all members of the House will please report to their assigned seats. All members of the House will please report to their assigned seats. Mr. Clerk, would you ring the bell? All members will please take their seats. We're going to have the morning, we should say the afternoon roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers will please close the doors and keep them closed. Well, good afternoon. I hope everyone had a beautiful weekend. And I don't think I need to remind you, today is Legislative Day 36. The end is drawing near. So we will begin our day today with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain today will be introduced by the lady from the 23rd House District, the chairman of the Juvenile Justice Committee, Chairman Mandy Ballinger. Chairman Ballinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a real treat. Taylor Cole is going to be our chaplain for today. As his day job, he is an assistant principal of the junior high in Dawson County. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Georgia. He holds a master's degree from the University of North Georgia, and he has a specialist degree from Valdosta State. He resides in Cumming with his wife, 2 children, and he is also a foster parent. But his crowning achievement is being my cousin. So I hope you all will give attention to Taylor Cole. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great honor it is to be here today. I appreciate the introduction. Since we are cousins, I'll just call her Mandy. We appreciate this opportunity. What a great privilege it is, and I want to thank all of you for the work that you do every day. I know every decision you make is met with a whole lot of criticism, but thank you for being here, and thank you for what you do for the great people of Georgia every single day. I want to read a passage of Scripture from the book of Matthew, the 20th chapter, but before I read that, I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Jesus had spoken to his disciples here, and he had told them that he was going to Jerusalem, where he was going to be crucified and where he was going to rise again on the 3rd day. And right after he had told them that, 2 of the brothers, along with their mother, came up to him and they said, will you just make sure when you come to your kingdom that I can sit on one side and my brother sits on the other side? So in other words, Jesus has told them, I guess, one of the most amazing things that has ever been told, that he's going to die, and not only that, he's going to rise again. And they essentially said, enough about you, what about us? How do we fit into this? Where are we going to be when this happens? And Jesus, of course, he gives them an answer, and the other disciples they hear his response, and then he addresses all of the disciples. In the 24th verse of the 20th chapter of Matthew, it said, "And when the 10 heard it, they were moved with indignation against the 2 brethren. But Jesus called them unto him and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many." Jesus tells his disciples here to be great in this world, it's not about power or influence or fame or fortune. He tells them in order to be great is to be a servant. Now, I know all of you here, you are serving the people of Georgia. And like I've said, I appreciate the work that you do. And all the public servants across our state, I appreciate the work that they do. And I know we're constantly pressured by society to think in order to be great, we have to have some sort of a position of authority, or we have to have a certain amount of money, or we have to have a certain number of people that answer to us. But Jesus said, it's not so among you. Among you, it's different. That may be the way that society measures greatness, but not so, Jesus said, among you. Among his followers, greatness is measured by how they serve and who they serve. I want to leave you with this. I want to encourage you all not to be deceived by the thought of, if I was in this position, or if I was in that position, if I was on this committee, or if I was on that committee, then I could really make a difference. If I was just in a different place, if I was just in a different year, then I could really serve the people and really make a difference. I want to encourage you today, you can make a difference right where you are. You can serve people right where you are. There's people all around us every day, no matter who we are and what we do, that need our service. So my prayer is that that's what we can all do, is to look around us. And my prayer is that God will put people in our path that we can serve, and that we'll see that as being great. Not fortune and fame and status, but in who we serve and how we serve them is what makes us great. Stand if you would and join me for a word of prayer. God, we thank you for this opportunity to be here in this House of Representatives. God, I pray for each and every member that's here today. The work they do is so important, and they're constantly faced with challenges and opposition to everything they're trying to do. I pray, Lord, that you would give them wisdom when they make decisions, because their decisions are so important, and they impact so many people. I pray, God, that you will help bring unity in decision-making and compromise when needed. And I pray, Lord, that we all together, Lord, can look for people around us in which we can serve. And Lord, not look for fame or fortune, but just look for opportunities, look for people that are right around us that need our help, and reach out to them and serve them. Lord, we pray for all the underprivileged people. We pray for all the folks in our state that are sick. And I pray, God, that you will just again bless this House of Representatives and the work that they do. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Join me for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers will unlock the doors. Chair recognizes Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal of the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And furthermore, Mr. Speaker, in Blue Ridge, after a long day, a married couple sitting on the front porch of a cabin, they were drinking a glass of wine, and the wife said, "You are wonderful and I love you." The husband said, "Thanks." The wife says, "I'm talking to my wine."
You know, I may have heard that before. Chairman Hogan, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? The chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. The clerk will read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day.
Mr. Burns, 159th moves following establishes the order of business during the first part of the period, unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 778 by Representative Hill III, Tarvin II, bill being titled an act to authorize the city of Ringgold to exercise all redevelopment and other powers under the Constitution.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 779 by Representative Bentley, the 139th bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 and Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions regarding insurance.
Insurance.
House Bill 780 by Representative Lever to the 33rd expiration of the 104th Fleming of the 121st bill be titled an act to amend Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to retirement and pensions.
Retirement.
House Bill 781 by Representative Stevens, the 164th bill be titled an act to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Chatham County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 286 by Senator Jones of the 10th and Strickland of the 17th bill be titled an act to amend an act amending and restating an act known as the Henry County Development Authority Act.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 292 by Senator Perrin of the 42nd bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Decatur Independent School District.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 293 by Senator Perrin of the 42nd, Jones of the 10th, Butler of the 55th, Jackson of the 41st, Davenport of the 44th, and others will be titled an act to amend and act creating and establish in DeKalb County, Georgia districts.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 295 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, a bill be titled act to create and establish the City of Cleveland Building Authority.
Intergovernmental coordination.
Senate Bill 296 by Senator Gooch of the 51st, a bill be titled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Commissioners of White County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions, the clerk will read.
House Bill 774 by Representative Moore of the 95th, Wilkerson of the 38th, McLaurin of the 51st, Dreyer of the 59th, Walensky of the 79th, and others. A bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 775 by Representative Bentley of the 139th. A bill to change the number of members of the Board of Education of Taylor County. House Bill 776 by Representative Chokas of the 138th, Jaspers of the 11th, Barr of the 103rd, Dollar of the 45th, Stevens of the 164th. A bill relating to the Public Service Commission and excise tax on sale or use of energy. House Bill 777 by Representative Wilson of the 80th, Bennett of the 94th, Taylor of the 91st, Kendrick of the 93rd, Davis of the 87th, and others. A bill to amend an act creating the State Court of DeKalb County. House Resolution 406 by Representative LaHood of the 175th, Petrie of the 166th, Kirby of the 114th, Taylor of the 173rd, and Gamble of the 15th. Resolution urging the Georgia Emergency Operations Plan to prioritize continuum of the long-term service and support system. Senate Bill 294 by Senator Harrell of the 40th, a bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Chamblee, through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Robert Dickey, the 140th District Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has under consideration the following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendations: Senate Bill 260, due passed by committee. Substitute respectfully submitted. Representative Robert Dickey, the 140th District Chairman. Representative Dollar of the 45th District Chairman of the Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment is under consideration the following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 157, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Dollar of the 45th District Chairman. Representative Stevens, the 164th District Chairman of the Committee on Economic Development and Tourism, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Economic Development and Tourism is under consideration the following bill of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 255, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Stevens, the 164th District Chairman. Representative Matt Dubnik of the 29th District Chairman of the Committee on Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Education had under consideration the following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 51, due pass. Senate Bill 213, due pass. Senate Bill 246, due pass by substitute. Senate Bill 47, due pass by substitute. Senate Bill 42, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Matt Dubnik of the 29th District Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education is under consideration following bills and resolution of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Resolution 154, due pass. Senate Bill 107, due pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District Chairman. Representative Lumsden of the 12th District Chairman of the Committee on Insurance, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, Committee on Insurance is under consideration following bill of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 80, due pass by committee. Substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Lumsden of the 12th District Chairman. Representative John Tankersley, the 160th District Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local is under consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: House Bill 760, due pass. House Bill 772, due pass. House Bill 773, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Jan Tankersley, the 160th District Chairman. Representative James Burchett of the 176th District Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil has had in consideration the following bill of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 117, due pass by committee. Substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative James Burchett of the 176th District Chairman. Representative Mandy Ballinger, the 23rd District Chairman of the Committee on Juvenile Justice, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Juvenile Justice is out of consideration the following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations: Senate Bill 20, due pass. Senate Bill 28, due pass by committee. Substitute. Respectfully submitted. Representative Mandy Ballinger, the 23rd District Chairman. Representative Jay Collins, the 68th District Chairman of the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security is under consideration the following bill and resolution of the House and Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendation: House Resolution 406, due pass. Senate Bill 198, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Jay Collins, of the 68th District Chairman. Representative Karen Mathiak, the 73rd District Chairman of the Committee on State Planning and Community Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on State Planning and Community Affairs is under consideration following bills of the Senate. Has instructed me to report same back to the House. Following recommendations: Senate Bill 100, due pass by committee. Substitute. Senate Bill 222, due pass. Respectfully submitted. Representative Karen Mathiak, the 73rd District Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
We are going on to the local calendar. Going on to the local calendar. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. For what purpose does Representative Meeks rise?
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion.
Move that House Bill 755 and 756 be recommitted to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
House Bill 755 by Representative Meeks, the 178th Pierce County apologies to the Pierce County Board of Elections and Registration. House Bill 756 by Representative Meeks, the 178th Pierce County reconstitutes and reestablishes the Pierce County Board of Elections and Registration.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 755 and 756 be recommitted to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it is so ordered. We will now go on to the local calendar, which leaves 3 bills on the local calendar. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. The clerk will read the local calendar.
House Bill 760 by Representative Park of the 101st, Gwinnett County. House Bill 772 by Representative Park of the 101st, Gwinnett County. House Bill 773 by Representative Park of the 101st, Gwinnett County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Park rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that House Bill 772 and 773 have met all the criteria required for local legislation to be considered and approved by this body, that our local county commission supports these measures, that they have met local advertisement requirements and received the requisite number of signatures as required by the local delegation bylaws signed by all members of the delegation, and that it is hypocritical, demonstrates the lack of ethics of the majority of this body by passing legislation to reconstitute boards of elections in Pickens, Lincoln, Morgan, Carroll, and Troup counties that are hyper-partisan, undemocratic power grabs while rejecting an effort to create a bipartisan board of elections in Gwinnett. Is it not true, Mr. Speaker?
So which one of those you want me to answer?
All of them.
I'm sure the gentleman feels strongly about each of those, and I will let that be addressed to each and every member of this body. What purpose does the chairman of the Judiciary Committee rise?
Parliamentary
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that the Gwinnett Elections Board is currently, the 5th member is currently picked by partisan affiliates of each party, and so that a bipartisan official is selected? And only 3 months after Democrats took control of the county commission, they are now proposing that a 5-member Democrat board pick the 5th member, thereby taking control over the Gwinnett County Elections Board. And I'm encouraging members to vote no.
I'm sure the gentleman believes what he has said to be true. What purpose does Chairman Timothy Barr rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that if the county commission wished to provide a pay raise that they have that power currently?
I believe that to be true. What purpose does Representative McLean rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that no other local legislation has been defeated this year? And furthermore, 19 of 25 elected representatives of Gwinnett County has supported this legislation. And furthermore, that it would be a sad day in Georgia. It is a sad day in Georgia when the state body take control of local body.
I'm sure the gentleman feels that to be the case. What purpose does Representative Kirby rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that typically before any pay raise goes into effect for a local official or elected official, that it's after the next election cycle where the public has a chance to absorb those facts?
I think that is the general rule. All right, we're going to do one or two more, and then we're going to lock the machines. What purpose does Representative Jasmine Clark rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that House Bill 760 has not only met all the criteria to be approved by this body, but has broad bipartisan support from the Republican and Democratic leaders in Gwinnett, including the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, and refusing to pass this legislation demonstrates a desire to keep the first Black woman ever elected as Gwinnett's chair severely underpaid and perpetuates the systemic racism that exists in this country, whereby Black women in the U.S. are paid 38% less than white men and 21% less than white women.
Chair recognizes final parliamentary inquiry. What purpose does Representative Hutchinson rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it not true that our Gwinnett County chair makes $65,000 a year versus the DeKalb County chair that makes $174,000 a year?
I have absolutely no knowledge of how much either of them are paid. Okay. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of the bills on the local calendar. The ayes are 70, the nays are 97. These bills, having failed to receive a requisite constitutional majority, are therefore not passed. What purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To make a motion,
State your motion.
I move that these bills be reconsidered on the next legislative day. To serve notice.
I think what you're intending to do, since we're not at the in the final 3 days, you would serve notice of your intent to seek reconsideration on the next legislative day.
Thank you. I'd like to serve notice of intent.
So noted. All right, we're going on now to morning orders. Going on to morning orders. A total of 10 minutes today for morning orders. Chair recognizes Representative Bentley for a morning order.
This one? Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues of the House. I've asked Representative Chairman Robert Dickey and Representative Calvin Smyrie to stand with me as we honor the life and legacy of former city council members for the city of Fort Valley and Fort Valley Utility Commissioner Marvin Crafter. And Fort Valley passed away on this past Thursday evening there in the city of Fort Valley. Mr. Crafter was a strong advocate for the citizens, for the city of Fort Valley for decades. And I thank you all so very much as we pause and honor the life and legacy of a giant of a man who truly loved his community, Mr. Marvin Crafter. If you will join me in a moment of silence, I would be so appreciative. Amen. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members of the House.
Chair recognizes Representative Park for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, please stand to honor and mourn the 8 victims who were killed last week in the horrific mass shooting. Please stand in solidarity with the families and loved ones of the victims. Our hearts are broken. Park Soon Chung, age 74. Kim Yeon Jung, 51 years old. Kim Sun Ja, 69 years old. Yu Yong-e, 63 years old. Delana Ashley Yon, 33 years old. Zhao Shi Tan, 49 years old. Dao Yo Feng, age 44. Paul Andre Mitchells, age 54. They included a grandmother of 6, a single mother striving to support her sons. They were daughters and sisters, a business executive 2 days from her 50th birthday, an Army veteran, a woman who loved to dance. 6 of the 8 victims were of Asian descent. I ask that you stand in solidarity and grief with the Asian American community. Our parents, children, and loved ones live in fear. While condolences and prayers are appreciated, action is needed and demanded. Colleagues, I ask that you hear and understand the pain of our community and legislate to serve all Georgians. We can do a lot of good in this chamber. We can demonstrate love to our neighbor, love to our fellow American, and protect and serve all our communities. In honor of their memory, I pray that we live up to our values and take action to ensure their lives were not lost in vain. May we legislate with wisdom, justice, and moderation, and be held accountable to the people for what we do and what we do not do. May I ask for 8 seconds of silence. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a morning order.
Good afternoon. Colleagues, today I rise to honor this House's Speaker Pro Tem, Jan Jones. Speaker Pro Tem Jones was first elected to this House in 2002. In 2010, the Speaker Pro Tem made history, becoming the first woman elected as Speaker Pro Tem in the history of the state of Georgia, and the highest ranking woman ever in the history of our General Assembly. She currently serves as co-chair of the Grace Commission, working to fight human trafficking in our state. In the legislature, she prioritizes reforming our educational system, bringing education, bringing innovation and flexibility to students and their families. Prior to serving in the legislature, she worked in marketing for HBO. In addition to her professional and legislative accomplishments, the Speaker Pro Tem and her husband, Kaylin, have raised 4 wonderful children. Women's History Month is a time to celebrate women and their accomplishments, and especially women who have blazed trails to lead the way for others. Speaker Pro Tem Jan Jones is just such a woman. The path she has cut is an inspiration for all Georgians, male and female, and I am proud to serve with her, and I'm even prouder to call her friend. Jan Jones. Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Beth Kemp for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And it's hard to follow up Leader Burns, especially talking about Speaker Pro Tem Jan Jones. But today I would like to talk about an outstanding Georgian for Women's History Month. Mary Gregory Jewett graduated from the University of Georgia, go Dogs. In 1930, she became an outstanding leader in historic preservation in Georgia. She was a journalist, a historian, and a public official. After joining the staff of the Georgia Historical Commission in 1955, she was appointed to the Executive Secretary and later named the Director of the Commission, becoming one of the first women heads of state in Georgia. She was the president of the Georgia Trust for Historic Preservation, which she helped establish in 1973. She was appointed later to the State Historic Preservation Officer by Governor Lester Maddox and later by Governor Jimmy Carter. She was an outstanding person because in that day and age, not very many women ever held a leadership position such as that. And she later went on to serve the Georgia Agricultural Development Board, which was a predecessor for the Commerce, Industry, and Trade and Economic Development Departments. So today I'd like to spotlight Mrs. Mary Gregory Jewett. Thank you. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes the minority leader of this House, Leader Beverly, for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It has become apparent that the Atlanta business community has lined up behind voter suppression. The same community that depends somewhat infrequently on the minority caucus to help with the passage of bills, the regulation of rules, and the ultimate exercise of bipartisan participation, constitutional amendments, has decidedly declared that the substitute in the process whereby we deliberate voter suppression is okay. When statements are issued without talking to the minority caucus for its perspective, it undoubtedly becomes lopsided, and to talk to us now is somewhat disingenuous. For several years, Site Selection Magazine has selected Georgia to be the #1 state to do business. I'd ask for them to add another category, access to voting and social justice, to that equation. To the business leaders who have opened your doors and said yes to Georgians to attend sporting games, who've opened your doors and businesses to give many of us a living wage, who've opened your doors and created a community, a climate of tolerance, we say thank you. Today we're asking you to open your mouth and say no to voter suppression. Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Tyler Paul Smith for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today, my colleagues, to commemorate March 20th, this past Saturday. 179 years ago, the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, was formed, and since that time, from Chapultepec to Fallujah, our graduates have fought for this nation and served it with honor. The school has produced governors, a governor of this state, United States Senator, ambassador, members of Congress, state legislators in this legislature, leaders of business, judges in our state, both state and federal, lawyers, doctors, and continue to strive for the same ethics that we were taught as cadets. I hope you'll all join me in commemorating the college, which has given not only so much to the state of South Carolina, but to the state of Georgia as well. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Chairman Cooper for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I get to honor another trailblazer, a woman of achievement, especially a woman of achievement in the nursing field. Letty Clay Andrews was born in 1874. She graduated with a 3-year nursing degree from Spelman College in 1906. And that same year, she was hired as the superintendent of Lula Grove Hospital's Colored Division, where she created their 3-year RN program, a very first. In 1914, she honored and was founded and licensed the Grady Hospital Municipal Training School of Colored Nurses. 50 years later, in 1964, that school would be fully integrated with the Grady Hospital School of Nursing. Through her own personal sacrifice and dedication, black nurses who had graduated from accredited Georgia nursing schools were permitted to take the state board exam in 1920, and they finally became fully licensed registered nurses. This was when Mrs. Andrews became the state's first black registered nurse. She also went on to be superintendent of the Morehouse College Infirmary and the Morehouse Spelman Atlanta University Infirmary. She was always involved in her community. She was a health teacher for the Neighborhood Union of Atlanta, chairman of the Relief Committee of Atlanta Tuberculosis Association, member of the State and Local Interracial Committee, member of a YMCA, and trustee of the Atlanta Urban League. And she died in 1969, and in 2018, she was honored by becoming a woman of achievement. I would have liked to have known Luddy, having been a registered nurse and a faculty member, but we also shared the fact that when she was 10 years old, she lost 2 siblings to a fire. And I've wondered very much, having gone through a similar experience at 12, if that led her to her nursing career, which has made such a difference in Georgia's history. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
The time for morning orders has expired for today. If we didn't get to everybody, and if you want to be carried over till tomorrow, please see the messenger. So this House will come to order. House will come to order. The chair recognizes for a special order Chairman Randy Nix, the chair of the House Ethics Committee. Chairman Nix.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I have a very serious issue I need to bring to your attention today. So please give me your attention for just a few minutes. Last week, there was a comment made by a member of this body that caused several members to file an ethics complaint. The comment was crude, had a sexual connotation, and very inappropriate. The member who made the comment came to this well the following day and made an apology. While this specific incident triggered the complaint, the underlying issue is really what I want to address today. I would like to read from the complaint. The nature of this interaction and the pervasive nature of this type of behavior on the House floor during official House business creates an unnecessarily uncomfortable environment for many members of this chamber. Now, this complaint was signed by 20 members of this House. As chairman of the House Ethics Committee, I felt that this needed to be addressed to all of the House rather than to one individual. The members who filed the complaint agreed, and the Speaker has granted me this time to speak to you. Like the Speaker does so often, let me direct your attention to the rules, ethics, and decorum of this House, the brochure that everyone has. If you will look there, you don't have to look very far to how we can solve this problem. Rule 1.1 says this: all members and staff of the House shall conduct themselves at all times with dignity and with respect for others in a manner to ensure appropriate decorum in the deliberations of the House and to reflect the responsibilities incumbent upon a member or staff of the House. I went and looked up the definition of dignity. Bearing, conduct, or speech indicative of self-respect or appreciation of the formality or gravity of an occasion or situation. If you'll look at Rule 1.2, members and staff of the House shall observe decency of speech and gentleness of behavior at all times in the House, the gallery, and the lobbies, anterooms, and halls adjacent to the House. Rule 1.3, no member in speaking shall be disrespectful to any other member, and all members shall carefully avoid references to personalities when addressing the House. Rule 1.4 doesn't address this specifically. It talks about appropriate attire and simply says that it should be coat and tie for male members and dignified dress for female members. But 1.5 says this: profane, obscene, or indecent language is prohibited in the House and during the meeting of any standing or special committee of the House. If you look further back in this book, you will find the rules that the Ethics Committee operates under. The Ethics Committee has a number of things that they do, but they're to investigate any allegations of unethical or improper conduct. And then it gives a list of 4 things that fall under this category of unethical or improper conduct. A is abuse of official power, and it gives you a definition I will not read. B, conflict of interest. Again, it gives you a definition that I will not read. C is improper conduct. Gives you a definition, but I will not read it. But D says sexual harassment. And it defines sexual harassment. It says means making sexual advances, requesting sexual favors, or other verbal or physical conduct of a sexual nature when, and I will skip down to number 3 for this, such conduct interferes with the individual's work performance or creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Ladies and gentlemen, clearly based on the words I read to you from the complaint, a significant number of members of this House feel that comments made during official legislative sessions have created an uncomfortable environment. This is contrary to our House rules and cannot be tolerated. We must hold ourselves to a much higher standard of speech and conduct. One of the complainants stated that not only was she offended by the comments, but even more so by the fact that these are public proceedings and are viewed by people all over our state and beyond. This is certainly not the image we need to project to our constituents and to the citizens of our state. Friends, I don't know about you, but I consider it a great honor to serve in this body. We are sent here for a very respectable and honorable purpose, to serve our constituents and conduct the business of our great state. There is no place for epithets, derogatory statements, slurs, or sexually related comments or jokes, period. As chair of the House Ethics Committee, I declare that such speech or acts are totally unacceptable, and going forward, there will be a zero tolerance for such. I'd like to ask if you would put my little slide on the screen if you can, please. I just want to show this to you and offer it to you as something that would be very helpful for us. Now, this is the Rotary 4-way test. It says, of the things that we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, I admit this is old school, but I'm old school. But I promise you, if you will run the things you think, do, and say through this funnel, not only will we eliminate the issue that brought me to this well, but you will be a better person, and this house will be a better place in which to do the important work that we are sent here to do. Should anyone have a question related to this, you can please come to see me, and we'll discuss it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're now going on to the rules calendar. We're going on to the rules calendar. Clerk will read the caption to House Bill 745.
House Bill 745 by Representative Jackson, the 128th being titled an act to amend an act to reconstitute the Board of Education of Washington County, this bill having referred to the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Mac Jackson to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to present HB 745. This bill will allow the Washington County School Board to have nonpartisan elections. I'm very proud of the work that our school board is doing. I started the school in 1957 in Washington County, and this is the first time that we've had an African American as school superintendent of Washington County. Dr. Ricky Edmonds was appointed by the school board in 2018. He, along with the school board, are doing an incredible job in educating the youth of Washington County. They're unified in all decisions made for our educational system. And because of the leadership that they've displayed in Washington County, I have agreed to carry this bill for the Washington County School Board. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and if there are no questions, I ask for your favorable consideration.
You have no questions.
I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of House Bill 745. The ayes are 149. The nays are 9. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the captioned, what purpose does Representative Jackson rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that this bill, House Bill 745, be immediately transferred to the Senate.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 745 be immediately transmitted to the Senate, is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it's on its way. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 9.
Senate Bill 9 by Senator Anderson of the 24th, Burns of the 23rd, Strickland of the 17th, Miller of the 49th, Mullis of the 53rd, and others to be entitled an act to create a new judicial circuit for the state of Georgia to be known as the Columbia Judicial Circuit, to be composed of Columbia County. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Chairman Newton to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was challenged by the minister today, and I'm honored to serve along each side of you in the roles that we have. Today I bring you Senate Bill 9, a bill that just passed unanimously in the Senate, which creates that Columbia Judicial Circuit through a division with the Augusta Judicial Circuit. I'm honored to represent both counties involved in this, the Richmond County and Columbia County. Over the past 2 decades, the proposal of this split has long been discussed as the population of Columbia County has continued to rise exponentially. Today, due to that growth, the Augusta Judicial Circuit represents the largest multi-county district circuit in the state. With more growth expected and the current situation of judges, now is the time for this division to be realized. In 2018, across the way, Senator Harold Jones asked for a circuit boundary study on the Augusta Circuit. At that time, of the 8 judges allocated to the circuit, 4 were in Richmond County, which was larger, and 4 were in Columbia County, which was smaller. Because of the relatively high number of judges residing in Columbia County, the study's review of Columbia County's ability to stand at that time as a single county circuit did not get a recommendation. Since the time of that study, however, a judge of the Augusta Circuit who lived in Columbia County has retired. leaving Columbia County now with 3 judges, a number that, based on the Judicial Council, has since determined as the ideal number based on the caseload and workload. Columbia County has been preparing for this split, and back in September of last year, a tremendous facility was appropriate to house the judges and the district attorney of this potential Columbia Circuit, if and when the time comes, was acquired back in September. Strong point is this proposal has received the support and written endorsement of the commissions of both Columbia County and Richmond County, which represent 95%, approximately 95% of the circuit population. Across the hall, after receiving 2 amendments on the Senate floor by Senator Jones, both to further ensure that the effect of the split would not disrupt the Augusta Circuit, Senate Bill 9 passed unanimously, 51-0. I'd be appreciative if you would vote in support of this, which I think, as I say, is supported by both the counties I'm honored to represent, and I'll be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Speaker, and yield.
You do not have any questions.
Thank you, sir. I yield the will.
We have 2 other members that wish to be heard on the bill. The chair recognizes Representative Frazier to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And to my colleagues, I rise today to oppose SB 9, the judicial split legislation for Columbia County from the Augusta Tri-County Circuit, which is composed of Augusta, Columbia, and Burke counties. The question I ask is, why now? I ask that question along with others that are in Augusta, Richmond County. Why now? A circuit that has been together since inception in 1870, over 151 years. The Augusta-Richmond County Circuit has had a good run for those 151 years because it is one of the last few of the tri-county circuits in Georgia. And for years, I know that the change is inevitable for prosperity and growth in Augusta-Richmond County. However, change must be done for the right reasons, especially in today's society where there is so much racism and divisiveness. Columbia County's decision to split from the Augusta Judicial Circuit continues to baffle not only myself, circuit judges, and the citizens of the Tri-Circuit because of the abrupt move now. While putting the Augusta Judicial Circuit at a disadvantage as it relates to the number of judges needed to handle an ever-increasing caseload in Augusta and Burke counties. I represent part of Augusta and all of Burke counties. So the question that many of my constituents have asked me still is, what is the reason why now are we splitting? 3 weeks after the November 3rd, 2020 election, and after Richmond, Burke, and Columbia County residents elected the first African-American district attorney and a Democrat ever, a resolution was voted on unanimously by the Columbia County Commission to split the circuit. Now, my colleagues from Columbia County will come to this well today and justify this split with cost savings of $1 million to the taxpayers. They're probably going to say, and has been said, that it's been making a few years ago, they validated a 2018 study committee that substantiates this split, a cost saving of $1 million each year. I calculate that at about $2 million that could have been saved by Columbia County had they split back in 2018 when the study committee came out. Now, that's not being fiscal conservative for our taxpayers' dollars. That's $2 million that we could have saved. I stand here today to go on record, as I promised my constituents in Richmond, Burke, and Columbia County, to answer that question again, why now? The snake has reared its ugly head again here in Georgia. That we're noted across this country of its racist and discriminatory practices. A time in history when we should be celebrating another first in Richmond, Columbia, and Burke County, where our constituents elected the first African-American attorney and breaking the racial barriers. We are once again showing Georgia and the country who we really are, a state that is still judging each other by the color of our skin. I ask you to vote against SB 9 and send a strong message that racism cannot be tolerated in Georgia now or forever. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Chair recognizes Representative Howard to speak to the bill.
Good afternoon, colleagues. I come to the well today to speak to something that I think all of us should touch our hearts or touch our hands today on what button are we going to push when it comes to the end of this. It's time to vote for this measure. I'm not sure exactly where you are as a D or an R, but sometimes it comes a time when you have to, put that aside and go with what your heart tells you. And there are three things that we should consider. I would ask you to consider. What are we dealing with here? We're dealing with an issue that has come before us that a district attorney was elected for the first time, first time ever in the Augusta Judicial Circuit, and as my colleague just told you, 150 years. For over 150 years, we, for the first time ever, elected an African American male to our judicial circuit. Now, that's big time. That's really moving forward as we see our elections begin to see the participation of folk voting and electing people that look like Georgia, not just one particular look. And we should be proud of that, because y'all passed by me back in that corner throughout the day, because I'm in a unique spot. And we connect, and we are bumping arms, and we're shaking hands, not as much shaking hands as we used to. And I think a lot of you all, everybody in this chamber, I think a lot of you. And I would hope that you think a little bit about me, because it goes beyond what we vote on in this chamber, how we vote. Sometimes you just have to vote your conscience, and your conscience leads you in the right direction. Now, why are we voting today to split a circuit? And it's true. Several years ago, a couple of times, there was an attempt to split the circuit, and it was vehemently rejected by the adjoining county. I'm in Richmond County, and this is a split for Columbia County. Columbia County vehemently rejected it when we attempted to do it back several years ago. Now, the question that my colleague just asked you, why? And the answer is simple. You don't have to really dig in deep to try to figure it out. Why? Because an African-American male was elected for the first time 150 years, y'all. And we work with every district attorney that has ever come through that circuit. When I say we, my dad was here. He worked with the district attorneys. There were other elected officials before me, and we worked with every district attorney that's ever come through there. It's never been a problem. So why now? Why? And we are saying that we want to move forward and we want to work together. We want to be united as a state, as a city, as a country. We can't get there when we do things like this. We can't. We'll never get there. If we're going to do things like this. So I plead with you to vote your conscience. I plead with you to vote no on this bill, Senate Bill 9. Thank you. I yield the will.
That's all the members that wanted to be heard on the bill in debate. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. There has been a minority report filed, and under the rules of the House, 20 minutes will be given to the speakers on the minority report. The chair recognizes Representative Sheila Nelson on the minority report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. I rise in total opposition to Senate Bill 9 because I believe the voters spoke when they elected who they elected, which was the first African-American district attorney for the 3 counties in the circuit. And my first question was, why now? But then my answer could not be to save money, because we could have saved money years ago. I ask my colleagues to support me in voting no with Senate Bill 9, and I yield the rest of my time to Representative Evans.
Chair recognizes, for the balance of the minority report, Representative Stacey Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen. We've heard this afternoon, that Senate Bill 9 is going to save us money. It will not. It's going to create an unnecessary expense, at least $1.3 million of state funds. Certainly, we could find better use of $1.3 million in these challenging times. This is not to mention the $3 million that this will cost Richmond County, Burke County, and Columbia County at the least. Senate Bill 9 would create inconsistencies among judicial circuits. Proponents of the bill claim that Columbia County is too large and it should be removed from a multi-county district, that it's uniquely situated, that it's the only county in a multi-county judicial circuit like this. It is not. There are other circuits of comparable size with multiple counties, namely Newton County is in a 5-county judicial circuit of similar size to the Augusta circuit. Oconee County has requested to be removed and have its own judicial circuit. Why would we treat Columbia County differently from everyone else? This bill is a solution in search of a problem. I was on the committee that heard this bill, the Judiciary Committee, was part of the majority of the minority that voted no. There was not one single piece of testimony in that bill that cases were not moving efficiently, that they were not moving effectively through the current judicial circuit. And believe me, if lawyers had complaints about their cases moving slow and they thought that having another circuit would help them, they would have been there to tell us. We heard nothing like that. Proponents of this bill specifically, Senate Bill 9, proponents of this bill were opposed to any change like this in 2018 after a study was done of the circuit. And I asked in committee, has anything changed? Not the size, not the caseload. The answer, no. But ladies and gentlemen, one thing has changed. So my colleagues from the Augusta area have already told you. For the first time, the Augusta Judicial Circuit elected an African-American district attorney. I don't even know that the ink was dry on the certification of the election before we started hearing that Columbia County needed its own judicial circuit. That district attorney will now represent Augusta, Richmond County, Burke, and Columbia counties. Richmond County and Burke counties are majority-minority districts, but Columbia County is 73% white. 73%. This timing cannot be ignored. Why would the same people want this now? They didn't want it in 2018, and they told you that nothing changed. Something changed. At a time when we have judicial positions in this state unfunded, we've heard about the backlog that we're going to have to deal with when this judicial emergency lifts. We've got better places to spend money on the judiciary than appeasing one county that doesn't like its new district attorney. Please join me in voting no on Senate Bill 9. Mr. Speaker, I yield the will.
Okay, under the rules of the House, we now have the chairman's time. The chairman of the committee from which the bill came, Chairman Elstration, is recognized for the chairman's time, 20 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, as I've been listening to the debate today, I'm struck by the fact I'm in a position I don't think I've experienced yet in this body as a member. And that is, I'm here today to defend members of the Senate. In fact, to defend every Democrat that voted on Senate Bill 9 in the state Senate, because this measure was passed unanimously in the state Senate this session. Any assertion that is made with respect to the members who are making arguments here, any assertion that's been made from this well that action was taken because of an outcome of an election last year completely ignores the fact that Senate Democrats supported this bill, that they voted for it, that a practicing attorney, Senator Harold Jones, the distinguished senator who represents part of this area, supported the legislation, the minority whip of the Senate. And so an assertion by the minority party here to claim some sort of inappropriate reason or basis for this bill coming about, I think disparages inappropriately our colleagues across the hall. Now, what I want to do, though, is walk you through what changes we do have here, because there's one change. You may notice that it's a substitute, and it is one non-substantive change, and that is in lines 90 to 97. There was a typo. There was a typo in the Senate bill that passed out that identified the district attorney as a nonpartisan official. Well, attorneys know that DAs in Georgia have to run partisan. You cannot run nonpartisan as an elected prosecutor. And so that was addressed in section 2-1A. That is the only change from the bill that passed out of the state Senate. Some other important things for you to know. This process was started years ago. with a study taking place well before any election had occurred or an election outcome, as is being posited here today. It's just simply not the case. This study was underway and had occurred, and by the way, was started at the request of Senator Jones. The funding for this has already been approved in the budgets that have been considered and passed. So if you voted for the budget, you have voted for support for the funding that will result from passage of Senate Bill 9 if it passes. I'll just close with this. I think that many times the politics of the moment drive debate sometimes to try to focus on facts that are out there. Taking a position to oppose Senate Bill 9 and attempting to support it based upon an argument about what happened in an election. I think that that doesn't do just consideration to the measures that we really have before us. The fact that Senator Harold Jones, the Democrat minority whip, began this process seeking a study back in 2018, I believe it was, that ultimately culminated in Senate Bill 9, which the state Senate this year passed out unanimously, 51-0, with every Democrat voting in favor of it. And now here in the House, there's a minority report, and we're left to debate it. I think that consideration of the issue is very important, and it's something that we ought to do. But to attempt to disparage our Senate colleagues in such a way is just simply not appropriate, and I'd urge your favorable consideration of Senate Bill 9. I yield the will.
Gentleman has yielded the will. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Cannon rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true that many members have spoken to racial implications of this bill, and yet still members are supporting it?
Not sure I understand the parliamentary inquiry, but what purpose does Chairman Setzler rise? He waves. What purpose does Representative Mallow rise?
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr.
State
Speaker.
your inquiry.
Is it not true that this bill would drastically affect employee retention in the Augusta Judicial Circuit, causing them to have a shortfall of employees when we know we have a judicial emergency and a backlog of cases?
I'm sure the gentleman believes that to be true. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 9. The ayes are 96, the nays are 70. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 247.
Senate Bill 247 by Senator Anderson, the 24th, Walker, the 20th, Miller, the 49th, Goodman of the 8th, and Summers, the 13th, and others to be titled Act to amend Article 2, Chapter 8 of Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to agriculture commodity commissions generally, so as to replace certain public hearings with online public comment opportunities. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Meeks to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring to you today Senate Bill 247. Senate Bill 247 is related to the Commodities Title, Commodities Act of the Georgia Code. Within the current act, what we're doing is amending to allow for virtual meetings to take place in the current
environment in which we are operating. It will also allow the commissions to publish their notifications for meetings. And currently under the code, it says it has to be published in the capital of the state, i.e. the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This will give members of the commodity commissions the ability to publish those meeting notifications in a similar publication or in the Georgia Farm Market Bulletin. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, what this bill will do will make changes, or any changes that are to be made to any of the commodity commissions will require a 2/3 vote and at least a 25% response from those in the affected areas. To renew a commission would also require a 2/3 vote of the respondents to the involved in the area of the commission which the commission is involved. Mr. Speaker, those are the things that this bill does. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You do not have any questions.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I ask you for your favorable consideration and then ask for, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 247, the ayes are 165, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 145.
Senate Bill 145 by Senator Brass, the 28th, Miller, the 49th, Watson, the 1st, Gooch, the 51st, Jones, the 25th, and others. Be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 4, Title 3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the local authorization and regulations for manufacture, distribution, and package sales of distilled spirits. This bill will have been referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Ballinger to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a real simple bill. We passed something very similar that was that I was the author on. It still allows for a referendum for package sales. It just allows for the placement of the referendum on the ballot to occur with either a vote of the City Council, the County Commission, or a 20% signatures by registered voters in that city or county. So that's what the bill does. It has two options. Like I said, it has either the signature requirement or a vote of the City Council or County Commission. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge your favorable consideration of this bill.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 145, the ayes are 133, the nays are 33. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 159.
Senate Bill 159 by Senator Gooch, the 51st, Miller, the 49th, Burke of the 11th, Gaines of the 47th, and Payne of the 54th, be titled an act to amend Article 2, to amend Chapter 2 entitled 20, the official code of Georgia and Ontario relating to elementary and secondary education, so as to revise a provision relating to student transportation. This bill having referred to the Committee on Education. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Y'all ready to go home for the rest of the day? Take a deep breath or two, and going to be some serious prayer overnight about what we do tomorrow. Chair recognizes Chairman Timothy Barr to present the bill.
It's a hard act to follow, sir. Thank you. Colleagues, I have a bill that we previously passed out of the House, so I feel fairly comfortable presenting it here. I was the author of the other bill. This bill would allow local boards of education another tool in their toolbox. This is the use of small motor vehicles of 8 passengers or less to transport students. The State Board of Education will set the minimum standard requirements for these vehicles, and then the local boards may additionally add requirements as they so choose. This is an opt-in to transport children. We've already looked at this bill, so I'd stand for any questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you, colleagues. I would ask that you mash the green button for us on this one. Thank you.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines on the passage of Senate Bill 159. The ayes are 165, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Let's start weeding some things out. Senate Bill 219 will be carried over to the next legislative day. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 32.
Senate Bill 32 by Senator Brass, the 28th, Robertson, the 29th, Burke of the 11th, Albers, the 56th, Gooch, the 51st, and others, to be entitled Act to amend Code Section 50, 18, 72, the official code of Georgia and Ontario relating to when public disclosure not required so as to exempt certain personal records of state and federal employees from public disclosure. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair recognizes Representative Gullett to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise to present Senate Bill 32. Current law defines state, county, and city employees as public employees that can be exempt from public records. This bill simply adds federal employees to that definition. The bill also adds public employees' personal mobile and wireless telephone numbers to categories of records that are exempt from public disclosure requirements. And lastly, the bill creates an exception for the home addresses of the licensees being included in the roster of current licenses for each of the various professional licensing boards. Mr. Speaker, that's all this bill does. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I will yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Maynor in the gallery for a question.
Do you yield, sir?
Where are you at? Straight ahead? To the right? I do.
Does this bill at all help elected officials that have been stalked so their information is not posted to the public?
So, yes, as a state employee, it would, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, if there are
No
no more
further
questions,
questions.
I yield the will.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the passage of Senate Bill 32. The ayes are 165, the nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 114.
Senate Bill 114 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, Dugan to the 30th, Gooch to the 51st, Kennedy the 18th, Burke of the 11th, and others, being titled Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 43, the official code of Georgia annotated relating the general provisions regarding professions and businesses, so as to revise the grounds for refusing to grant or revoke a license. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Representative Momdahan to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, today I rise to present Senate Bill 114. Senate Bill 114 allows those that have been convicted of felonies to obtain a professional license once they have been released and are under supervision. Right now, if someone earns an HVAC, plumbing, or other professional education while in prison, they are unable to use the degree to get their professional license under Georgia Code. This bill changes that and puts these folks where they have their debt paid, it puts these folks that have paid their debt to society back in the workforce so they can provide for themselves and families in a meaningful way. I hope you will join me in voting yes to this common sense measure. And Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
You have a question if you care to yield.
I'll hear your question. Yes, sir, I yield.
Chair recognizes Chairman Knight to your right for a question.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
And I apologize. I just saw and read some of the bill, and that's my fault. I should have asked the question earlier. But Does this bill, as far as this part, apply to like a lot of the professional licensing boards, because they may have ethics within their licensing? So I am curious about that. It could be a direct conflict with, CPA or the ethics, other ethics within the professional standards.
And I'm sorry, Chairman, I couldn't hear the first part of your question.
Does this apply to like the professional licensing, such as a CPA, engineers or other that have ethical parts to their licensure? That could be a direct conflict. So that's what I'm asking in regards to this bill. Does this apply across the board to all professional licensing boards?
That's right. So I'll give an example. So if somebody were to, let's say that you had a license as a police officer, and while you were in the job, you had stolen a credit card. You cannot be licensed to be a police officer again, right? And if you were a plumber and you took something, you charged with a felony, you could not be a plumber again, but you could be something else. Does that answer the question?
No.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, again, let me ask you a question back regarding your question. So if a police officer decides to become an engineer, and they got in trouble for an ethical issue as a policeman for stealing, then they would be eligible to go to another board, another profession, and qualify and get licensed under that profession with the background and criminal history or stealing that they had done under the prior.
That's right. Okay. I think I understand your question. So no, they wouldn't be qualified under this bill to do that. All this bill does is say, hey, under Georgia Code today, if I have a felony and I'm under direct supervision, right, under Georgia Code today, I cannot apply for that license if I otherwise qualify for that license. So you'd have to otherwise qualify for the license to be able to qualify under this new code section. Is that?
Still, the gentleman,
Okay.
I apologize, still do not understand.
I'm sorry. Well, that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the way off.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. What purpose does Representative Bentley rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Is it not true, Mr. Speaker, I was going to ask the author of this bill exactly how this legislation will impact the funeral industry, and because I did not get a chance to get a clear answer, I will be voting no for this bill.
Next time he'll stay in the well, I bet. What purpose does the majority caucus whip? Representative Kelly rise.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parliamentary inquiry,
State your
hoping to clear
inquiry.
up a few questions here. Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that all we're doing here in terms of the types of crimes where an individual will still be able to get licensed deals with whether they're currently under supervision for probation? It doesn't change any of the moral turpitude laws that are currently in place for applicants of licenses, only if they are still currently under supervision for probation.
That is my understanding. What purpose does Chairman Martin rise?
That was my question, Mr. Mayor.
To what purpose does Chairman Houston rise?
Parliamentary
State your
inquiry.
inquiry.
It's my understanding that this involves people that Governor Deal tried to expand the education of people that were incarcerated. And we have many people that are incarcerated who have been able to get licensed maybe as a EMT or as a fireman. And when they get out of prison, they're still under community supervision, but this just gives them a chance to work. And that's who this bill is aimed at. Is that not true, Mr. Speaker?
I believe the lady is accurate in
Thank you.
stating that. What purpose does Representative Al Williams rise?
Parliamentary
State
inquiry.
your inquiry.
Is it not true, Mr. Speaker, that I thank the gentle lady from Nashville for explaining this bill so well and so quickly?
You're not talking about Representative Montahan there. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 114, the ayes are 152, the nays are 14. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. What purpose does Chairman Newton rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move to immediately transmit Senate Bill 9 to the Senate.
Chairman Newton has moved that Senate Bill 9 be immediately transmitted to the Senate. Is there objection? Is there objection? The chair hears none, and it's on its way over there. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 185.
Senate Bill 185 by Senator Hatcher to the 50th, County to the 18th, Cowser to the 46th, Kirkpatrick to the 32nd, Huffsett to the 52nd, and others, being titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to state administrative organization, administration, and enforcement of revenue and taxation. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary. That committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Chair recognizes Chairman Todd Jones to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For those members who were here last year, we took up taxpayer fairness, also known as Chevron deference, on sine die. This chamber passed it unanimously. Unfortunately, we were not able to find a position with the Senate that worked. We have, in fact, done that now. That is Senate Bill 185. Effectively, the biggest difference between last year's bill and this year's bill, instead of the deference being taken away for all regulatory and sub-regulatory rulings, it only takes deference away for sub-regulatory rulings. So that means that if anything did not go through the administrative act, the tax tribunal court does not have to give it deference, and the tax tribunal court judge can, in fact, weigh evenly the taxpayer's argument and the government's argument, or the DOR's argument, to be able to come to an interpretation of what the proper ruling is. Mr. Speaker, I'll stand for questions.
Do you yield for questions?
Yes, sir.
Chair recognizes Representative Ridley to your right for a question.
Does my friend Chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
I've got a question. It ain't just my question. Floor Leader Ricky also has the same question. Could you please tell us what Chevron deference is? Has that got anything to do with Exxon or?
In fact, Chevron deference does not have to do with the oil business, but in fact to a SCOTUS ruling regarding when a judicial authority will take deference to a regulatory ruling.
Thank you for clearing that up for us.
You're welcome.
You do know what a SCOTUS ruling is, don't you? Chair recognizes Chairman Timothy Barr to your left for a question.
Do you yield, sir?
Yes, sir.
Does this bill not protect the taxpayers of our state?
That's in fact exactly what this bill will do. It creates a level playing field for the taxpayers when they believe they have a cause of action against the DOR. And thank you for asking the question. Mr. Speaker, I'll yield to well and ask my colleagues for their favorable consideration.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bill will vote aye. Those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the passage of Senate Bill 185, the ayes are 162. The nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. What purpose does the Speaker Pro Tem of this House rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I'd like to recommit Senate Bill 117 from Rules back to the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee.
Clerk will read the caption.
Senate Bill 117 by Representative Miller of the 49th, Cowles of the 46th, Anna Duarte of the 31st, Payne of the 54th, Kennedy the 18th, and others. Entitled an Act to amend Chapter 6 of Title 16, Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17, Article 2 of Chapter 3 of Title 35, Title 42, and Article 1 of Chapter 2 of Title 49.
On the lady's motion that Senate Bill 117 be recommitted from Rules to the Judiciary Non-Civil Committee, is there objection? Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. What purpose does Representative Leverett rise?
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House rules be temporarily suspended so that a group of local bills may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
I'm going to ask the clerk to read the bill numbers and the author of each. Okay, can you read?
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Gaines, the 117th, Clark County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Gaines of the 117th, the Classic Center Authority for Clark County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Evans, the 57th, an act to create the Board of Commissioners of Fulton County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Jackson of the 128th, bill entitled Act to Repeal an Act to Provide for the Supplement for Compensation of the Judge of Probate Court. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Drenner, the 85th, to be titled Act to Repeal an Act to Create the Clarkston Development Authority. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Howard, the 124th, to be entitled Act to Amend an Act regulating public instruction for the County of Richmond. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Meeks, the 178th, to be titled Act to Create and Establish the Wayne County Public Facilities Authority. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Meeks of the 178th, to be titled Act to Create and Establish the Wayne County River and Leisure Services Authority. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Wilkerson of the 38th, to be titled Act to Amend an Act creating a new charter for the city of Powder Springs. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Cameron of the 1st, to be titled an Act to create the City of Chickamauga Public Facilities Authority. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Ralston of the 7th, to be titled an Act to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Magistrate Court of Fannin County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Irwin of the 28th, to be titled an Act to amend an act to provide for Stevens County Board of Registration and Elections. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Irwin of the 28th, to be titled an Act to reconstitute and reestablish the Board of Registration and Elections for Stevens County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Perkle, the 155th, to be titled an Act to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Probate Court of Ben Hill County. Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Leverett of the 33rd, to be titled an Act to provide a new charter for the City of Hull.
On the gentleman's motion that those local bills, unnumbered, that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended to allow those bills to be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there any objection? Is there objection? Chair hears none, and it is so ordered. They are all assigned to the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. Clerk will read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions.
Honoring the life and memory of Hank Aaron. Honoring the life and memory of Joanne Green Harps. Honoring the life and memory of Edward Jolly Jr. Honoring the life and memory of Jerry Miller Aldridge. Honoring the life and memory of George C. Carvey Snell. Commending Tom Dunn, South Atlanta High School's 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year. Commending Lawrence Akinukun, Forest Park High School's 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year. recognizing and commending Monique Drury, commending Brittany Blackwell, Clayton County Public Schools 2021-2022 Teacher of the Year, recognizing 2021 as Newton County, Georgia Bicentennial and celebrating the 200th anniversary in Newton County, recognizing and commending Jamie Parton, honoring the life and achievements of Viola Hart Felton, congratulating the Carver Tigers for winning the 2020-2021 GHSA Class 4A State Basketball Championship, recognizing and commending Miguel Wilson, recognizing and commending Dr. Lauren C. Johnson, congratulating and commending the Honorable William A. Pryor Jr., recognizing April 2021 as National Arab American Heritage Month, recognizing Marilyn Margolis for her outstanding dedication, service, and contributions to the John Creek community, recognizing and commending Haley Sophie Marunich, recognizing and commending Remington Smith on winning the El Salvador Grand Prix Men's Air Pistol Competition, and recognizing March 19, 2021 as Georgia Post Day in Crawford County. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privilege resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We're going on now to announcements. Chair recognizes Chairman Chokus for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I want to remind the members of the Small Business Development Committee that we have a meeting tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., 506, 8 a.m., 506, Small Business Development.
Chair recognizes Chairman Burchett for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The full committee on Judy non-civil will meet upon adjournment in 132. We have one measure to consider. It shouldn't take very long. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You'd well.
And we have no birthdays today. Chair recognizes the Majority Leader of the House for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move that this House stand in recess until 5 p.m. today, then stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, March 23, 2021.
The Majority Leader has moved that this House be in recess until 5 p.m. today, at which time we would stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. All those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed will say no. The ayes have it. This House will be in recess until 5 p.m. and will be adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday,